Like I got four more. I mean, there was a four pack. It's like,
Wow.
oh yeah,
And how many more do you have left?
none.
That's it? Oh my
That's the
God.
last one, bro.
So my first barrel I ever got for the club was the first Tumbling Dice.
Okay.
With the Cadillac.
Okay.
On it. That was
Yeah.
the first barrel I ever got for the club. Or
Okay.
I was told that.
That was kind of around that time, maybe.
Was Old Elk was behind it.
Yeah.
By
Okay.
a good bit.
Okay.
But so I have a friend that's a big E.H. Taylor fan, huge E.H. Taylor fan, and he's got some old ones like 60s and 70s and 80s E.H. Taylor stuff, and he's also got a lot of the special releases like the Sour Mash and stuff. Like he's a collector, and he has a whole vertical. He has everything that E.H. Taylor's ever done. Okay, this collection's very, very big. And I saw him on a forum, an E.H. Taylor forum, and he was talking. It's like, oh shit, I went to elementary school with this guy. So I reached out to him, like, holy, I'm collecting E.H. Taylor myself. My mom's maiden name was Taylor, and so I did the lineage, and we're not direct descendants,
Yep.
but we're indirect descendants of E.H. Taylor.
You're related to the Colonel.
Correct. I'm more related to Zach Taylor, who was a U.S. president.
Wow.
He was in my
Zachary.
Yes.
Nice.
But E.H. is beside him. And other thing about E.H. Taylor is he was adopted.
Okay.
I don't even think E.H. Taylor was his name because he's the second.
All right.
So I think he was adopted. Well, anyway, I asked him like, tell me about E.H. Taylor. What's the? I really like the small batch. And I said, you can't really find it that much. He goes, man, you need to find you the Cumberland Knots. So I looked on their website. They don't distribute to Texas. I'm like, shit. So then I reached out to the distiller and I said, hey, what would it take for me to get a barrel of Tumbling Dykes? And they said, well, we'd have to ship it to Louisiana. Okay. I grew up in
We can
Louisiana.
make that work.
So the samples come in. The first batch of samples are ridiculous. They're in mason jars. Ridiculous.
Ridiculously good?
No, ridiculous.
Okay, ridiculous.
Very
bad.
shitty. Yes. So, but I'm inviting like a lot of these guys that I really didn't know at the time. Matt Morrison, Blake Baumgartner,
Yeah.
Daniel Ross. Like I knew Daniel pretty well, but I didn't know a lot of the other guys. And so they come to my house. My wife did a great job. She gets these crackers together and all this other stuff, and the samples suck ass. They're horrible. You're like shit. And so then I asked for more samples, and thankfully the next time it comes through, they're better, and they're a lot better. And so we picked that barrel, and then my second barrel was the Joker.
Okay.
And
That was a good one.
yeah, and I still have. That's the only barrel that I've kept out of 30 or so barrels that I've gotten. Yeah, the last one was the Knob Creek, the Bob Barker. Did you get one of those? Oh yeah, I delivered yours. Yeah. So that was mine.
Yeah, I think I got that first Dublin Dice pick. That was one of the early bottles I got at the club, and I think my very first was that Jackie Robinson Nulu, the 42.
Oh yeah.
That was good times.
The Jackie Robinson Nulu was good, and the Darth Vader, or it wasn't Darth Vader, it was
The rye. What was it called? No, well, what do they call that?
it was one of the sequels.
Yeah. I can't remember.
I remember it's
Can't remember what the sticker said.
it was
I know what you're talking about. I didn't get that one.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. That was a hard one. Yeah. Okay, same thing. We'll do an introduction. Let's just have a quick shout out to Old Louisville Distillery, then Vault Arms and the Humidor. They just picked up us as a sponsor.
Nice.
Yeah, which is cool.
That's awesome.
And then we'll talk a little bit about I'll introduce you, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're drinking here. and then we'll start it. It's pretty laid back. If you've seen it, I mean, it's really kind of laid back. It's not super intense. You can talk. Please talk as much as you want. Please, as much as you want about whatever you want. And if you want to go down any paths, like if you want to talk about anything in the legal sector that's pretty cool, anything new or interesting, or
Talking about the new courthouse if you want.
what about it?
Well, it's a pretty big project that it's just
They're
started.
expanding it, right?
Well, no, they're tearing down the old one. They're raising half of the square,
Oh,
building a new one on that east side of the square.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna totally change the downtown of Tyler.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Sweet. Then we'll get into the meat and potatoes, and then at the end, I always like to do a shout out. So if you have anybody, any like mentors, friends, family, if there's somebody in your practice or whatever, brother, it doesn't matter to me. If you want, whoever you want to talk about, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Or if you don't want to talk about anybody, talk about that project. Fine. Either way, I'm good.
How am I looking right here? Am I
Oh yeah,
relaxed?
I'm assuming
The
so.
throne.
Yes. I don't like sitting back in these chairs. I always sit in front. Like I'm sitting up,
It's
which is fine with me. It's all good. Okay.
Recording now.
I thought we were recording that whole thing.
Well, that was some audio. Gold.
Oh, were you?
That was some gold you missed.
I know.
Content.
Oh, we'll come back to it. We're just warmed up now. All right, we good? Welcome back to Spirit Squared. I'm Andrew, your host. We're here at episode 13. I'm very excited about our guest and very excited to announce we've got a new sponsor. We'll get to that here in just a second. We are at the Beckham Hotel and excited to be here. Love this spot. Love this little cigar lounge. It's kind of the little secret space here at the Beckham Hotel. If you have a chance, get up here in Mineola and check it out. I've got Old Louisville Whiskey Distillery there in Louisville, Kentucky. They make great products, and so glad to visit and get a shirt from them. We also have our new sponsor, Vault Arms and the Humidor. So thank you, Blake, and thanks to the crew. They've got a new location. You need to go check them out. They've got some specialized weapons there. And Humidor, always a good group of guys and girls in there. And Chris and Jenny behind the counter, they do a great job too. So go check them out. They're across from Texas Day Brazil down in Tyler. Our guest tonight, Danny Noteware. He is a local lawyer. We're going to hold that against you.
Thank you.
He practices in Tyler, right? And we're going to talk about a variety of things, but the big thing that I wanted to bring you in for is to talk about a new initiative that's starting to grow in Tyler, and that's 100 Men That Give a Damn.
That's right.
But before we get there, we got to talk about what we're sipping here. Danny was gracious enough to bring one of the best picks, I think, for the East Texas Whiskey Club. This is the last of many, right? And this was the Old Elk pick that the East Texas Whiskey Club did. He was gracious enough to kill the bottle here on the podcast. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a great pour, and it's a great starter for the podcast.
If you are looking for a reputable builder with a proven track record and a client base to back it up, give Red Construction and Development LLC a call. Red Construction offers full design build services for new construction, custom homes, and remodeling with free site evaluations. They have an A+ rating with the BBB and are proud members of the Tyler Area Builders Association, Texas Association of Builders, National Association of Home Builders, and the Lindale Area Chamber of Commerce. Red Construction and Development LLC stands behind the exceptional quality of their work and have the expertise, the resources, and dedication to deliver the results you need on time and on budget. To learn more, give them a call at 903-630-8660 or visit them online at www.redconstructiondevelopment.com.
100 Men That Give a Damn. Talk to me a little bit about how it got started. I did some research on it, and it's definitely not local, but it's migrated a long ways from where it started.
Yeah, for sure. So the idea is definitely not local, but the way it started was I was talking to one of my fellow Leadership Tyler classmates, and he made the comment that, well, Tyler has the Women's Fund, which does great work in the community, and they kind of have a special focus on women's issues and raising money for, they don't just help with women's issues, but it's all women that are on that board. So we're like, well, why don't we have a men's fund or a men's group or anything like that? So we're like, okay, we talked to the director of leadership, Tyler mentioned it to her, and she's like, well, wait a minute, had this guy who has been interested in starting a men's group. You guys need to connect with him. And it turned out to be a lawyer that I knew named Mike Patterson. And so Mike and my other friend Terrence Aites connected, and then we also added Clint Childs, who's a real estate developer, and then Stan Anderson, who's a banker. So it's the five of us kind of are the committee that developed the idea. We started meeting last year, middle of last year, and we
So it started with 5 men that give a damn.
started with 5 men to give a damn, right? With the idea of getting a lot more men to give a damn.
Right.
And so, yeah, Mike had, done some research on these 100 men groups. And so there's a lot of them across the country. And we learned later that they originated in Canada. But the concept, which is awesome, and kind of the appeal of the whole thing is just, you try to get 100 men committed to donating $100 4 times a year, and you get together and hear from local charities. You have 3 presentations from local charities. Your group votes. The one that gets the most votes gets all the money. So theoretically, every quarter, you're raising $10,000 per meeting for some local nonprofit.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you guys, it starts in Nova Scotia. It's kind of the same thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so you got a women's group that is, I think it's called Women That Care.
Yeah.
I think is what the name of it
There's a lot of
was.
variations on it.
Right.
And then,
And so then there was a couple guys that get together and they say, hey, we want to do something, and the ladies are like, go do it, and this is the way you can do it, and it can be organized in this fashion. And so it starts in Nova Scotia, it migrates west through Canada. There's a couple earlier, I think it's 2014-ish is when they start, and then it kind of migrates down, and then it started in Texas and Dallas.
yeah, that's my understanding, is that the first group was in Dallas.
Okay.
And then there's another one in Fort Worth that we know of.
Okay.
That's, one in Houston. And so we kind of looked at because a lot of those groups have websites, Facebook pages and all that. So we kind of looked at what they were doing to come up with our own version of it.
Right.
But the thing we like about it is it's like the simplicity is like the genius of it.
Yeah.
There's no nonprofit you have to create. You don't make an entity. You don't have a bank account. You don't really have a board of directors or anything like that, because it's guys coming together to help the community.
Right.
And the guys are the ones who make direct donations to the charities. So it's not like they're paying us and then we pay the charities. They're writing a check straight to that nonprofit.
Right. Yeah, I read on the website that if I bring a check, then it's tax deductible, or can be tax deductible.
Yeah, and that's up to the nonprofit, because you're paying them directly, and so it would be tax deductible no matter what. But I guess we learned that if it's under $300, they're not required to give you a
Receipt.
a non-tax receipt, but they will. I mean, so we only had one meeting.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to get to. So you said that you guys, the smaller group, had met last year
Yes.
a couple of times.
We started meeting mid-year, and then we had our first meeting in November.
November. Okay. And do you, I'm sure you guys have the stats, right, for attendance and
We have the stats, and it was a success.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
obviously,
how much a give a damn was there?
over 100. So,
Over 100, yes.
So, I think our total figure attending was maybe like 112 or something like that.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
we raised, I think the total financial figure ended up being like 10,700 or something. It was
Wow.
over 10,000 raised and over 100 attended. So we considered it a smashing success.
Absolutely.
We were getting a little worried because we were like, oh, this is our first meeting. Nobody knows what we are.
Right.
But we were, trying to publicize it before. And
That's what I was trying to get to. What kind of grassroots did you do for that?
we tried everything. A lot of word of mouth.
Right.
Posted a lot on the Whiskey Club Facebook page.
Sure.
Sent out a lot of emails. But, it's not a hard idea to sell.
Right.
It's like, you're not making a huge commitment. It's just 4 times a year at $100 each time.
$400.
And it's like,
Yeah. Pretty.
it's a
Low-
good community.
it's a great thing to do,
good
too.
networking.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
And,
the other part about this is, I was talking to somebody last night that was a part of the Centurion group,
okay.
which has kind of got similar
Uh-huh.
structure,
Okay.
except I think they're more the networking. It's more networking
Right.
and kind of partying and social gathering, and if you sell shoes, I'll buy them from you and that type of thing. Where this is more, let's just get together and let's do something cool, and it's also at a really cool place. It's the True Vine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Ryan and Tracy were gracious enough to have us out there without charging us. And so we use that little outdoor venue. It's perfect. Everybody can get a beer if they want.
Sure.
And then just socialize for a little bit. And then we have our presentations, we vote. And then, it's an hour and a half tops. So
Yeah.
It's not a huge commitment. But yeah, first meeting went great. Our second meeting is coming up February 6th
That's right.
at True Vine. I
Right.
don't know if, will the people be seeing this before then or what?
Yeah, so we're filming on Thursday. We'll be releasing that on Monday.
All right.
So we'll definitely have that.
Spread the word.
You can share it wherever you'd like. And then we'll most likely probably tag a couple links
Yeah,
for people
perfect.
as well. So that way, if they want to sign up or if they know of a charity. So I noticed that was one of the things on your website that was a little bit different than maybe some other websites where there's not a link yet for like nominating charities yet.
Yeah, so the way we did it at the first meeting was we kind of just took nominations in a hat, and then we actually chose 3 on the stage at the event.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So those were, we had already contacted the ones that were presenting, of course, because they had to be notified and present there.
Yeah, you wouldn't want
Not
to,
gonna-
you wouldn't want to have a hat of 12
No.
and they're all 12 there.
We're not going to
Nobody gets
present
present.
on the spot.
Sure.
So we picked the 3 for our next meeting, and that is Mosaic Counseling, the Smith County Junior Livestock Show,
Okay.
and then the last one is Mentoring Alliance.
Okay.
So those 3 are the ones that are going to be presenting at our February meeting.
Okay.
And we're going to take nominations at the meeting, but we're not going to pick them on the spot there this time. But
Okay.
anybody who attends, any member can nominate a charity, and then it'll kind of go into a hopper. And the plan is for it to be just like a random drawing.
Right.
We kind of have a selection process where we make sure that they're, a 501c3 and
Right.
all that stuff. So we're going to vet them, but those are the 3 that will be presenting on the 6th. And then our next meeting will be coming up in May.
Yeah, I was noticing that there are some websites of the other groups where they list like the charities that are waiting
Right.
to be called, and then I could go in and click on. Is that part of the plan, or do you think you're going to be taking nominations at the end of every meeting Like you're going to do this one?
It's not set in stone yet. I mean, I like that because that is definitely one of the goals. So even if you aren't a winner, you're still, people are learning about you.
Sure.
And that was one of the wonderful things about that we learned at our first meeting was that even the two nonprofits that didn't win the $10,000. So Camp V was the winner at our first meeting.
Okay,
But
great
there were-
cause.
But there was Discovery Science Place and Courage Health were the other
Okay.
presenters.
Yeah.
And they both got kind of a bump in donations from that event.
Okay.
And we were like, yeah, that's great because that's really what it's about.
Sure.
Is, letting these nonprofits get their name out there, tell a captive audience what they're doing, how they're improving the community, and get more support. So, yeah, we don't have the nomination process. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, I figured. And the other thing is that some of the websites that I was taking a look at said that, hey, look, if you present and your charity doesn't get picked, you go back into kind of a 12-month waiting period to come back up.
Yeah, I think we're following that generally. That
Okay.
we don't want somebody to present and then be up again like next month.
Yeah, next month, yeah.
But at the same time, we want to give them another opportunity. So
Sure.
I think we don't have bylaws like this. We don't have like a commandments of the
I mean, 12
the group yet. But
a year is only 3 more meetings.
Right.
So it's not.
yeah, we were planning to follow that generally for sure.
Gotcha. So you had 112 at your first meeting. Do you guys have any projections for the next meeting?
I mean, we're hoping to get more.
Yeah.
And one thing that we were talking about, just projecting positively is if we could get, more than 150, maybe we could start giving out more, some like $10,000 plus some money to the other two that present as well, a smaller amount.
Right.
Like if, we hope we have that problem
Yeah.
where we're getting up into, we've got $15,000 to give out.
Sure.
Maybe we could do, spread it out a little, but
Right.
we're going to see if we can get there. But, definitely hoping to hit the 100 mark again.
Right.
But I don't have any exact projections for you.
So if I'm watching this or listening to it and I want to participate, so I know that the meeting's on February 6th, and we know it's at True-Vine.
Yeah.
What should I expect when I come to the meeting? We know it's out in their outside area.
Yep.
There's going to be 100 people or more, hopefully more.
Hopefully.
But what should I expect when I come in the doors, and walk me through what a meeting looks like?
Sure, of course. So the start time is 5:30.
Okay.
People start showing up a little before so they can get a beer or whatever, socialize, all that. We kind of have a check-in table, and that was one of the things after the first meeting that we're trying to improve on. Is there was a little bit of a bottleneck with people like checking in, because that's when we're trying to get the checks or the cash when people signed in,
Right.
check their name off a list and all that. So we're trying to streamline that process a little. So we have some ideas to improve that, but that's you'll go through the check-in area, make sure if you're already a member, quote unquote, your name will be on the list, and then you'll just decide if you're paying by cash or by check. This time there'll be separate lines for that. You just say, oh, I've got a check. Give it to the person who's taking the checks. He'll check your name off, and you're in. They'll give you, so the check-in is we've got these little poker chips that have 100 men on them.
That's cool.
And that's what you use to vote. So you put that into a little jar when we're casting our votes. But that's how you're registered, quote unquote, is when you get your poker chip.
Sweet.
But so check in about 5:30. The time between 5:30 and 6 is pretty much just socializing, happy hour type stuff, just going around meeting people. And we've invited our presenters, the nonprofits, to be there during that time if they want to just kind of mingle and introduce themselves and do a little informal introduction if they want. They don't have to. And then 6 o'clock is when the presentation starts. So the format is each charity gets 5 minutes to present, and it's basically just them up on stage with a microphone talking about who they are, what they do, what they might use the 10 grand for, just whatever they, can do to convince us to vote for them.
Right.
So 5 minutes each. Those are over in about 15 minutes. Then we vote. Takes another 10, 15 minutes. And then, final announcements at the end. And it's, there's not much more to it other than that. So it's,
Sure.
over by 7 is the goal.
Yeah.
And pretty simple, man. It's just camaraderie, helping the community.
Do you happen to remember? I know it's been a minute it's been since November, but do you remember what Kent B's intentions were for?
Well, it kind of had a leg up because Veterans Day had just passed.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got a bunch of guys that are kind of trend towards, they just talked about, the issues that veterans face, which of course, we're going to be sensitive to that. And they have a few projects that they're working on. I can't remember. It was, I think Trent was the one who presented out from their organization. Can't remember exactly what he told us.
All right. I'm gonna make another pour. I'm gonna go for this bottle here, which is special to me.
All right.
Kind of going piggybacking off of what you just said. This is a Tumlin Dice. It's the 6th year. This is one that a group that I was in. I was an admin in for Garden Valley Bourbon Club. We did it during COVID, and we shared this barrel with the East Texas Bourbon Society. The sticker was "We have your 6." Just celebrating those folks that were braving the COVID stuff and going out. A couple of the guys that were admins of that group were first responders. My wife's a first responder, and it's a great pour. I really enjoy it.
That's great. Mind if I did a...
Oh yeah, sure. Or you can absolutely. Go here. You go ahead and pour it. I brought this one too. This is a Smoke Wagon. Shout out to Aaron. Great pour. Some of his private barrels, which he's been doing a lot these last 6 to 8 months, and doing some releases on their website. Those things sell out in seconds, so they're fun to get a hold of if you can get a hold of one. So you talked a little bit about some of the folks that are going to be presenting the next time. I know you said that you had a friend or a local lawyer. This isn't the first time you've worked in charitable or boards or anything like that. I mean, talk to me a little bit about like what are some things you've done in the past that inspired you to get involved in something like this?
A lot. Where do I start? I've done a lot of things like that through the organizations associated with the Smith County Bar, which is like the group of lawyers. We have a really great legal community in Tyler. We happen to have, for a city of our size, we have more courts than just about anybody, because we have a federal court, an appeals court, and then, all the various state courts, JP courts and all that. We have, I think in total, like 21 different courts in Smith County.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But it's, there are a lot of lawyers per capita, so sorry. But you need us.
Yeah, it is a necessary evil.
And
not evil for everybody. It does do a lot of good for protection and for knowledge.
And so one of the first nonprofits that I got involved in was an organization called the Smith County Young Lawyers Association.
Okay.
That was when I was a brand new lawyer. And we used to have an annual event called National Adoption Day. Well, it is a national event, but we participated each year. And so we had worked with the family law judge to put on an event kind of celebrating a bunch of adoptions that were finalized like at our event, which was always really fun. And so we would raise money to kind of buy toys and things for the family that they might need and give them like a gift basket
Yeah.
and kind of celebrate that. So, you know, and then I graduated once I became an old lawyer, I guess. I aged out of
You were a juvenile. You were a juvenile lawyer.
Juvenile lawyer.
By the way, I adopted my son in 2013.
Oh, that's great.
Sure did.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, well, I came into his life when he was like almost 3. And by the time 4 came around, he was calling me dad. His dad had signed his rights away. And so I was very thankful for that, because that would have been hard to have like the weekends and just kind of all that good stuff. And so I waited until he was 13 so that he would understand like what's happening. We're really 12.
He could kind of make
Yeah,
the decision
correct.
on his own.
And so that Christmas when he was 12, they asked him, well, really my wife, but he was there, like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? And that's what I said I wanted. And so it was next year, and we did the adoption. He got to slam the gavel. It was really, really cool. I had all my family in. I don't have any kids of my own, so for him to take my name was awesome. And then later on in life, he joined the Navy, and my dad's dad, my grandfather, was in the Navy. And there was one time I was visiting him on base, and he had his like jumpsuit with my name on the back of it. It was just, I had to step outside. I lost it a little bit. So
Blessing, man.
yeah,
Great.
it was cool. I had to tell the story. Sorry.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's like, so I've done some adoption as from the attorney side.
Right.
And that's the one legal proceeding where every party that goes in there is going to come out happy.
Right.
Because it's like, it's such a fun thing. It's such
Yeah.
a, you know, such a blessing for our community. So yeah, that was one of the first nonprofit type things I was involved in. That was a long time ago now, but yeah, so kind of graduated into the Smith County Bar Association, which is like the group of lawyers that kind of, you know, put on events for the local lawyers as far as like continuing education,
Right.
and get involved in events for the legal community. And then there's another organization called the Smith County Bar Foundation that was created that kind of does the nonprofit side of things. Like one of the events that I helped start last year is called the People's Law School.
Okay.
And so we reserved 5 classrooms at TJC on a Saturday morning, and we got 6 lawyers to kind of present an overview of certain topics that the public might run into on a day-to-day basis. So
That's cool.
addictions,
Yes.
you know, basic criminal defense,
Right.
wills, divorce. I presented on like an overview of our court system, kind of talking about, okay, this is a federal court. Here's our judge. Here's what he does. Here are the type of cases he takes.
Yeah.
Here's, you know, how you might run into him. And so
I think that's great education, and you do it all for free.
we did it all for free. TJC was gracious enough to host us without charging us, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And we're planning to do that again. That's going to be in April 13th, I believe. It's on a Saturday morning in April, and it'll be at TJC. So if you are interested in that at all, it's Smith County Bar Foundation.
Okay.
Just search Smith County Bar, and then you can go to the main webpage, and there'll be a link to it in there. But that's a cool event that I've been working on, and we're planning for the second annual People's Law School event.
They need to have one that talks about what not to do in a traffic stop. I'm so tired of watching people. I get it. Like you can say I don't answer questions all you want, but I mean they're just trying to do their jobs. They pulled you over for a reason, even if it's not correct. Then it'll be body cameraed. It's going to be dash cameraed.
I've seen some of those videos. That doesn't help.
It doesn't help you if you're saying you don't answer questions and you're yelling and screaming at them. And I just laugh. It reminds
Do you
me
have a
of,
warrant?
yeah. I mean, it just reminds me of like all my favorite cops episodes. Like when I watch those videos and people want to argue the law, and I get it. You know, maybe there are some bad eggs out there. I get it, but 9 times out of 10, they're just doing their job.
No doubt.
And so I know a couple folks that are in in that community, the blue community, that, just said, hey, look, put your hands on the windshield, or not on the windshield, on the steering wheel, and just wait. And they'll appreciate you just
Be gracious and cooperative.
be
It will go much better for you.
Yes. And so you see it from like the point where they've arrested them and they've done crazy stuff. It just blows my mind. Anything come to mind like that you watch and you're like, oh my God.
Well, so I don't do criminal law.
Okay.
I do, I handle lawsuits where people are suing for money only. So
I gotcha.
Prison is not
Gotcha.
up for debate with us.
So you're
on
looking
anything
at
I'm
damaging.
touching.
You're looking at damaging.
But so for our People's Law School event, we had a criminal defense lawyer present. His name's Jim Hugler, who's also a municipal judge, really good guy.
Okay.
And I don't know for sure, but that was one of the things that when we were giving him direction about what he should talk about, we were like, talk about what the situations where people are most likely to encounter where they need kind of instruction about how to handle it. And that was one of them, like a traffic stop where, give us some common sense advice for people when they're in that situation. And it is,
Right.
it is definitely not, what's your authority or where's your
Right.
warrant for this or
Right.
don't say anything,
Yeah,
It's
you don't
like-
say anything, but you want their supervisor.
Right.
I'm
What's
not-
your badge number?
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not that.
Right. Yeah, and if you have a weapon in the vehicle, you may want to mention that immediately after, as
Yeah.
soon as they come up.
For sure.
Hey, I have a weapon in the vehicle. It's in the middle console. I'm not, and they'll appreciate you for that too.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a simple thing for you to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, what'd you think about Dallas's debacle?
Cowboys?
Yeah,
Oh man, you want to get into that? It's depressing.
I like it. I'm a Saints fan, so
Okay,
I
so
live in
you wanna-
depression.
you wanna-
I live in
I want to
depression.
hear about it. Okay. It's crazy because there is no denying that the past 3 years they have been a successful team in the regular season,
Right.
but it's like unfathomable how it hasn't translated
Oh
into
no,
any
it's
success in the
very
playoffs.
fathomable. And you know what it is? It's Mike McCarthy is not a good game plan, and he's not good at making halftime adjustments either.
You have a recent data point that is hard to argue
Well, take a look at his playoff experience.
Yeah.
I mean, the wins that he had. Look at who he had quarterbacking. Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Is Dak a Hall of Famer? No, he's not. But at the beginning of the season, I was very impressed. And after coming back from his major injury,
Yep.
he lost weight and he looked much more mobile, and he looked a lot better.
I mean, other than the playoff loss, he had his best season to date by far.
I don't disagree with that.
Taking away the one game that mattered.
Well, he did have a couple bad games.
He
He
did.
did have a couple bad games, and I think that Green Bay just their coach game plan better,
You did
and
and on the defensive side too.
because there's no doubt who had the better athletes. Dallas has by far the better athletes.
Yeah, Green Bay's the youngest team in the league.
Yes.
Yeah, and Dan Quinn got out coached too. Like
Oh yeah. But he's going to be a head coach somewhere.
probably.
He's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's depressing, man.
But wasn't he a coach at Atlanta at one point? Yeah. So he's not going
he
there.
lost that Super Bowl to Brady.
Yes.
Go back.
Yes. He will not go back there.
7 or whatever.
And our coach is going to stay too.
Yeah.
Dennis. What was his last name? Dennis.
It's
I can't remember his name, but anyway, he's staying.
Yeah.
GM's already said he's a good.
Allen?
This Allen,
Yeah.
yeah. He's already said he's staying. So then it's like, all right, well, where's Belichick going to go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows, man? Be interesting. I don't think he's going to the Cowboys. They've already said McCarthy's coming back.
Yeah. But we did fire our offensive coordinator, which I'm Pete Carmichael, thankfully. Well, cool. It's a simple concept. Going back to 100 Men That Give a Damn.
Yeah.
It's a simple concept. It sounds like it's already growing. I saw a couple pages where they had up to 250 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this thing could grow
That's
into
what we're
something
hoping.
pretty significant.
That's what we're hoping, man. I mean, sky's the limit. You know,
Do you think that if you got to that point that you'd need more structure?
maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I guess my approach would be, I can't speak from other, founding members or whatever, but
Right.
I would kind of listen to what the membership is saying, and if they feel like we need more rules, then we would probably get them. But I mean, again, that's one of the beauties of the organization.
Right.
It's like you're not spending any overhead. You're not paying the entity anything because there is no entity.
Right.
You're giving everything that's donated goes straight to the nonprofit. So I wouldn't want to make it too complicated because that's
Right.
the basic premises. Keep it simple.
Why do you think, because I mean, I've been here for over 10 years. This is my second stint in East Texas. And I've lived a couple different places, and it just seems like this area is very charitable.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
charitable with time. Why do you think that is? Why is it what's it a product of?
Man, I don't know. It could be kind of momentum from the oil boom days, possibly. One of my theories. It's that, I know there's a story that in like the 1930s, I think the Sears that was in Tyler was the only one in the country that turned a profit during the Great Depression. And they got some award because of that. And there's an inscription over at Birdfield Park that's like for the Sears store. They made some kind of donation to the park and recognized them for that. And that was because we had the oil boom going on,
Right.
the East Texas oil field, and there are a lot of like H.L. Hunt is like officing in downtown Tyler and all that. And so I think maybe the family fortunes that were generated from the oil boom
Yeah.
kind of led
Seeing
to
some key
like,
family members donate their time and
Right.
and invest into
and they're like, okay, we've got a lot of money. How can we give back to our community? They kind of started a cycle of them doing that, which is great. And maybe that's part of it that it kind of survives to this day, which is wonderful. I mean, yeah, that's like, there's so many great nonprofits.
Yeah.
That's one of the other draws of, our organization is kind of finding some that maybe not everybody knows about and letting them have a minute of recognition and more people being aware of.
Yeah. All right, two last things. One, what the heck is going on downtown in the square?
Well, it's not going on yet.
Right.
Is the thing, but yeah, there's a lot going on downtown. There's going to be a new courthouse. So we have currently the 1955 courthouse that's in the middle of the square is outdated and too small and is kind of a safety hazard for a lot of the people that have to work in there every day, day in, day out.
It's falling apart.
Yeah, it's not in good shape, and there's like one of the safety concerns is that judges kind of have to walk the same hallways with the criminal defendants that they're sentencing, and it's just not a good situation. So we passed.
The vending machines are from the 55 too, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of the 50s that are still in there.
Right.
So we passed a bond. The voters approved a bond election to build a new courthouse, and so construction has started over on the east side of the square so the first phase of the project is to build a new parking garage.
Okay.
And that's on Ferguson Street, right by the courthouse annex. And so that's going to be, because parking is a problem down there, and it's going to be more of a problem as more people are doing things downtown. But so the first phase is underway. They've cleared the lot over there on Ferguson Street, and they're currently laying the foundation for the parking garage. Next part of the project is to totally raise the east side of the square. So like there's the old New York store, the Martin Walker law firm, there's like a bail bondsman's office, all that stuff that's right on Spring Street, right behind the courthouse. It's going to be totally demolished. That will start in October. And they're going to start, as soon as all that's cleared, they're going to start building like a 10-story courthouse right there.
Wow.
I think it's 10, it could be 8. I don't know what the final design is, but it's going to be much bigger, more spacious, have all the new amenities, and it's kind of in the same design as the old 1909 courthouse that our forefathers, in their wisdom, destroyed. That was just like a beautiful building in the middle of the square.
Right.
So it's kind of a nod to that old building, and so they're going to start work on that and then it's estimated to be completed in late 2026.
Okay.
And so that whole side of the square is going to be totally redone, new building right there in between the jail and the new parking garage.
Yeah.
And then right next to my building, so I office in the Regions Bank building. It's just north of the current courthouse. There's plans, it's not set in stone, but there's plans for an 11-story hotel to go in right there.
Wow.
Called the Blackstone, which is kind of a nod to an old hotel that was downtown that we tore down as well in the name of progress. But so
Not the conglomerate, right? Blackstone?
no, not the conglomerate.
Right?
But yeah, man, downtown is changing. There's going to be a lot of cool new stuff down there. I mean, there already is some cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping, got my fingers crossed, that Lance can still come.
Yeah,
Be
man.
our next guest.
Culture,
You
amazing.
taste Skulls. It's a great dining experience. We went there last weekend. Fantastic food.
It's
Really super amazing. Everything we had was awesome. And then, of course, you get done with food. You go to the back, have the Plaid Rabbit. And so it'll be awesome to have him on. And he was just featured on one of the magazines here locally.
Yeah, I saw that.
Magazine. So
That was great.
It'll be fun talking to him about that. I just read that article today, and there's some good nuggets to talk to him about this next go around. I always like to end the podcast with some shout outs. Anybody who was inspiration to you, friends, family, if you had any mentors or anybody that you credit to anything that you've done, or maybe somebody you work with, that you think needs some special shout out.
Shout out to my wife and kids.
Yeah, that's the one
My
to
wife,
go to.
my wife for keeping the kids right now.
Right. Yeah.
So starting there,
Yeah.
I do want to give some shout outs to East Texas Whiskey Club folks.
Okay.
Daniel Ross, Travis Bearden,
Yeah.
Jay Lane, Blake Baumgardner,
Yeah.
you.
Oh no, not me. Those are the guys that do the work.
Well, yeah, Daniel, all those guys. Like that was like my first bottle of higher proof bourbon I got from Travis Bearden. I remember it was Elijah Craig barrel proof.
Okay.
And I was like, what is this? And then, whoa,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
eye-opening stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. Like the community
Yeah.
that club has, it's awesome. And I love being a part of it, and I appreciate what those guys do. And I'd like to try to contribute in any way I can to that. And so shout out to those guys for sure.
It's man, it's crazy how the group has grown.
Yeah.
I remember joining in the early days, first couple barrels, and it was a new concept for me to see barrel releases. I was kind of in and kind of out, kind of the Jack Daniel's Sinatra was my segue to bourbon.
Okay.
I had somebody buy it for me for my 40th birthday.
Nice.
And so I tasted it and I was like, I'm hooked. I want to go look for other labels. And so then I stumble into the Bourbon Society and then the Whiskey Club.
Yeah.
And so just seeing how productive, and not only that, but every, end of the year, the giving that we
exactly.
produce, and then Yvonne has for the silent, and then you have the bottle giveaway.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And then if somebody is impacted, typically they do a fundraiser for them.
Yeah. And dude, we got a ton of members at my our first 100 men
Yeah.
meeting, which was awesome to see. Like,
Yeah.
all those guys were there.
Yeah.
I didn't mention Matt Morrison. Give him
Okay.
a shout out. And then,
Sorry, Matt. Hey, congratulations.
And my,
it's
right.
pregnant.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
It's great. And then my brother, I didn't even mention him yet. So he
Yes.
can be my last shout out.
There you go. Shout out to Brett.
Shout out to Brett. But yeah, man, love it.
Yeah, it's a great community. They've afforded me an opportunity to do something I'm passionate about, and that's work with distillers and distributors. I love doing that side of things. I let all those guys kind of do their thing because they're better with like the handoffs and all that good stuff, and I enjoy what I do. It's a great community. They're great guys. I've been on picks with every one of them, including Jared Weaver.
Yeah.
Who's
Didn't mention
they're all awesome, and Richard Carey too.
That's right.
So
We got to get the full list of
I'm like tacking them off just because
Can we leave anybody?
as I'm telling this story, I'm like remembering like who I've done picks with, and
Mike McClellan, we should.
well, yeah, I mean
Shout
Mike's
out.
a great guy. I've done a lot of picks at his house. He's very charitable with not only his time,
Yes.
but and of course when we do these things, we're donating time, money,
Yep.
and his home.
Yep.
And so it's an awesome community. I couldn't, like, I've left other clubs because of the differences between the way they conduct business and the way this group conducts business. And we're very lucky to have,
Such a positive experience.
Yeah,
Which
it is.
amazing to maintain that.
especially the Stanleys. When we go to Stanleys and we do that kind of stuff,
Right.
it's very cool. So, man, it's been awesome and having you.
Sir.
So glad to get your nonprofit it's not really a nonprofit. It's like motivator for nonprofits.
Right.
And it's a great organization. We're gonna make sure that we get this content pushed in Tyler.
Appreciate it.
Because so far, the podcast has kind of stayed in the Mineola, Lindale kind of area. And over 2024, I think we've got enough followers and likes that we can get things migrated, not forgetting our roots here in Mineola, but get it migrated more into Tyler. I've taken a look. There's just not a lot of podcasts, especially not like this, where it's all about our guest. I want to get your information, what you're doing, out to the public, and I think it's not as edgy as maybe some other podcasts. It's just not. But I love it.
Bourbon.
Well, yeah, of course.
Like that.
But I love the content that we're producing, and I love the guests that are coming on, and I hope our viewers do too.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So
Appreciate you having me.
Yep. So as I said before, our next guest, we're hoping to have, Lance is always tentative. He's a busy guy, but Lance McWhorter for our DTX Culture, he was on a TV series as a chef. He's been all over the world. He's done a lot for Tyler downtown. He's helped a lot with the revitalization. He's our next guest, and looking forward to have him later on. So 2 episodes ago, we had a live podcast, or at least we had an audience. And we're looking to do that again here very soon with our new affiliation with Vault Arms and Humidor. We're looking to do some live stuff with the Humidor. So stay tuned here in our next couple of episodes. We'll maybe be able to share a little bit more, and love for you guys to tune in to this one and future ones. Thanks so much.
All right, man. Chill.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, that's good. Where are we at?
Just over
15 minutes. Damn. I thought we had more than that. But I mean, 50 is better than 3 hours.
Flew by.
Yeah.
No,
You can do more if you want. I don't care.
And I tried to dive into a couple different things, but I was like, how much do people want to hear
Yeah,
about
right.
us talking about shit? We ain't talking heads.
Talking about Cowboys, I could complain about that for a while,
Yeah.
but nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.